It had thought it would be safe out here. Just one more ambiently black speck, deep chilled in the vast veil of icy debris, wrapping the outer reaches of the system like a frozen, tenuous shroud of tissue. But it had been wrong, and it was not safe. It lay, slow tumbling, and watched helplessly as the probing beams flickered across the pitted barren moats far away, and knew its fate was settled. The interrogating tendrils of coherence were almost too quick to sense, too seemingly tentative to register, barely touching, scarcely illuminating. But they did their job by finding nothing where there was nothing to find. Just carbon, trace, and ice water hard as iron, ancient, dead, and, left undisturbed, no threat to anyone. The lasers flicked off, and each time it felt hope rise, finding itself thinking, despite all rationality, that its pursuers would give up, admit defeat, just go away and leave it be, to orbit there forever. Or perhaps it would kick away into a lonely eternity of less-than-light slow exile, or drift into a close-down sleep, or it might, it supposed, and this was what they feared, of course, this was why they hunted, plot and plan and gather and make and quicken and build and multiply and muster and attack, claiming the vengeance that was so surely its, exacting the price its enemies all deserved to pay by any algebra of justice under any sun you cared to name, for their intolerance, their savagery, their genericide. Then the needle rays reappeared, fitfully irradiating the soot-ice clinker of another set of barnacle black detritus, a little further away or a little closer, but always with a rapid, meticulous order to them, a militaristic precision, and a plodding bureaucratic systematicism. From the earlier light trails, there were at least 3 ships. How many did they have? How many might they devote to the search? It didn't really matter. They might take a moment, a month, or a millennium to find their quarry. But they obviously knew where to look, and they would not stop until they had either found what they were looking for, or satisfied themselves that there was nothing there. That it was so obviously in harm's way, and that its hiding place, however enormous, was almost the first place they had chosen to search, filled it with terror. Not just because it did not want to die, or be picked apart, as they had been known to pick its kind apart before killing their victims utterly, but because if it was not safe in this place, where it had assumed it would be, then, given that so many of its kind had made the same assumption, none of them would be safe either. Dear reason, maybe none of us are safe anywhere. All its studies, all its thoughts, all the great things that might have been, all the fruits of change from the one great revelation it might have had, and now would never know the truth of, would never be able to tell. All for nothing now. It could choose to go with some elegance, or not, but it could not choose not to go. No unchoosing death. The needle rays from the needle ships flicked on, flicked off, away across the frozen distances, and finally it could see the pattern in them, discerning one ship's comb of scintillations from the others, and so picking out the shape of the search grids, allowing it to watch, helpless, as the slow spread of that mortal inquiry crept slowly, closer. The Archimandrite Luciferus, warrior priest of the starveling cult of Lycium 9-4, and effective ruler of 117 stellar systems, 40-plus inhabited planets, numerous significant artificial immobile habitats, and many hundreds of thousands of civilian capital ships, who was Executive High Admiral of the Shroudwing Squadron of the 468th Ambient Fleet DET, and who had once been triumvirate rotational human-non-human representative for Cluster Epiphany 5 at the Supreme Galactic Assembly in the days before the latest ongoing chaos and the last fading rumbles of the disconnect cascade, had some years ago caused the head of his once greatest enemy, the rebel chief Stenausin, to be struck from his shoulders, attached without delay to a long-term life support mechanism, and then hung upside down from the ceiling of his hugely impressive study in the outer wall of Sheer Citadel, with its view over Junch City and Farabee Bay towards the hazy vertical slot that was Force Gap, so that the Archimandrite could, when the mood took him, which was fairly frequently, use his old adversary's head as a punch ball,